Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast somehow less interesting than this year's winter meetings. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Ben Samorka.
Hey, Nate H.
And this week, returning to the show, friend of the show, the blog father himself, Daniel Shoptaw is with us. Daniel, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me yet again.
If you have an idea for the opening bit, tweet us at Talk About Birds. Well, Hambone, I feel like this is a little awkward, okay? Because
okay,
I'm with you, a famous Grinch.
You're
Grinch-like.
I already know where you're going. Yeah. Okay.
And I've got Daniel here with us, C70 himself. Maybe the closest thing that I know to a Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
Loves Christmas.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like Cindy Lou Who here. You know what I mean? I'm stuck in between the two of you.
If I can find out where Daniel lives, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna steal all the ornaments off the tree, all the lights off the house, the yard, all the inflatables. If you have not seen, I believe you posted this on your Substack the other day, but photos of C70's house the other day. It is more lights than house at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming to get the stuff, you better bring a very big U-Haul. That's all I'm saying. I don't know that the Grinch sleigh will take it all. So, yeah, it's and that's just the outside. You hadn't seen the inside. So,
I didn't even think about that. Is there a separate storage facility that you use to store all this during the summertime? What's the move?
We bought this house about 4 years ago, and it came with a shed in the back outside, and so it's not a huge shed, but it's big enough that half of it's got the unimportant things like the kids' baby stuff, and then the other half has the Christmas. So yeah.
Okay. So maybe I'll just wait till the summer and then I'll steal it from the shed. Then that might be a little easier.
But then you won't ruin Christmas like you want. You know.
You also haven't spent time in Arkansas in summertime.
That is true. I was just complaining about the Seattle weather, but yeah, no, that sounds rough.
Well, Daniel, hopefully we all know Ben is far too lazy to pull off any one of these plans. The Grinch is a far more go-getter than Ben would ever be. But hopefully I don't have to mediate too much between you two.
That's a very polite reading of the Grinch. I think that he is a self-made man or beast or whatever the hell he is.
And you know what? He's also capable of change. This is not my own unique idea. I read this somewhere, but it has made me think about it. Both the Grinch and Scrooge get such a bad rap in popular culture. At the end of both of those stories, they have completely changed and they're totally better. And they love they've made a full 180, and they still get shit on for being the shitty people that they were before. So I guess the moral of those stories is never change.
Kind of like the Cardinals starting rotation.
Hey, Daniel, we're talking bullshit right now. We're not talking about the Cardinals.
Trying to do a professional segue. We don't do those here.
Yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully, Ben, you can contain your rage while we've got Daniel with us.
I just want to promise the listener right now that I will never change. I will always be the worst, I guess.
Well, we've got some, hopefully Daniel can provide some joy here in these dark times of the holiday season. Daniel, how have you been? It's been a little while since you've been on the show. How have things been in your world?
Things have been fine. Things have been, they're there. And we watched We watch Mo. We watch everything else. We try to write about it. We try to blog it. Y'all are podcasting every week. I'm trying to do that here and there too. And it would be convenient if he'd given us something actually to talk about this week. But we can do an hour of nothing. It's no big deal.
Yeah, we really thought like this is a tab after dark for a lot of reasons, but one of them we definitely thought we're recording late at night. We normally record during the day, and we thought like, oh, like near end of winter meetings, we'll get C70 on the show, and there'll be like a bunch of content to talk about, and we have a little bit, but it's been an ultimately pretty boring winter meeting, especially for the Cardinals, and in some ways disappointing when we get to the draft lottery. But since we haven't had you on the show, I was curious to hear just what is your take so far on the Cardinal offseason as we record today, Wednesday, December 6th?
It is active, but not necessarily fulfilling, I guess, to some degree. And I know y'all have talked about this as well, that, the Cardinals were supposed to go out and remake their rotation, and they did, but, kind of in the budget conscious way that sometimes they do. You've got a whole bunch of guys that are just the same, and then you've got Sonny Gray at the top of it. So it's not been exactly a creative off season, which is what I think we wanted to see, but we typically always do. But it is definitely 2 or 3 steps in the right direction, to the point that I think right now, I mean, there's still a lot of moves that people are going to be making, but right now the Cardinals are probably a divisional favorite, right? Because all it takes is, solid pitching and the offense that they think they have. So things aren't going to stay the same, and we'll see if that holds up. But it's the Cardinals. They do what they need to do, but they're not going to get you excited about it.
Yeah, they do what they need to do, and it's not exciting. I think that might be the tagline of the front office's entire ethos for like the last decade, outside of a couple things like the Arenado trade or the Goldschmidt trade. Ben, do you think that the Cardinals are divisional favorites right now?
Yeah, I think like they have to be, right, but that's also like I am of the opinion that the Cubs are going to spend a lot of money. I think that they're going to improve the team. I think Cody Bellinger might come back. I think a pitcher will probably come back. I could see the Cubs getting Blake Snell. So I think while we're recording this Wednesday night, December 6th, yes, that is true. I do not think that'll be true by the end of the offseason, though. I would be surprised, actually, I guess to say. Daniel, something I wanted to ask you. I was listening to an episode of Meet Me at Musial, and you and Alan were kind of talking about Lynn and Gibson, and I felt like you guys were pro. Not that I'm against those signings, but I felt like you guys were feeling better about those signings than I was feeling about, and I just kind of wanted to, I guess. Not to put you on the spot or anything like that. I just felt like it one of them would have been fine. Taking a riskier move would have been much better. I guess if I could just let you kind of talk about why you think those moves were prudent, at least at the time that they were done, maybe before the Gray signing, and how you're feeling as for like, have you changed your opinion from now or from then until now, if that all makes sense?
Yeah, I think I was, and maybe we didn't necessarily put it out there. I think we were kind of the same type of idea that 1 is great, 2 felt a little bit redundant, right? And at the time, you did hope that, okay, they're saving this money for a big push at Yamamoto or something like that, which Sonny Gray is good and obviously a very welcome addition, but he's not necessarily that upper echelon type of guy. So I there is that idea of having the consistency. I think Lance Lynn's going to be significantly better than he was last year.
He has to be, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's not pitching past May, right?
Right. And my co-host on Gateway, David Jones, sent me a message. He looked at the starts that Lynn made with the Dodgers, and like 9 of the 11, he was giving up 3 runs or less. And, that's what you want to see out of Lynn, a quality start every time out. That's fine, right? 3 runs, 6 innings. You'd like to see more, but that would be significantly better than he was last year. If you got another guy in Kyle Gibson that I was a little bit surprised that they went after him with Lynn, but they obviously they wanted to lock this stuff down early. I don't know why, because nobody else apparently does. That idea that that Mo comes out and says, "Well, we had to sign these guys or they wouldn't be there." Do you think? I think those guys would still be there right now. Don't you think? I mean, the way we're seeing them free market, I don't know that there would have been. I know that other teams were talking to, especially Gibson, but I can't imagine there would have been a big push to sign him when nobody else was getting signed.
Yeah, Wade Miley just signed, I think. He's like the only other guy, and Kenta Maeda has signed, but there's been a few in this sort of sphere, but we've kind of lumped all of those guys into one big bucket, and it does feel weird to have rushed to pluck these two guys out of that big pool of sort of sameness that's out there.
Mm-hmm. To me, the problem. Oh, I'm sorry, Daniel. Really quick. To me, the problem is that this then implies that the Cardinals didn't even really reach out to Eduardo Rodriguez, didn't reach out to Clevinger or somebody else that might have had a possibly higher ceiling that wasn't going to cost. Let's say if Jordan Montgomery's whatever his salary is going to be is the line that the Cardinals weren't going to cross. It's like they didn't even look at the second tier. They just went straight to the food at the bottom of the fridge that you forgot about and bought that for, as we talked about on our show, not even that cheap when you consider their past performance. It was bizarre. Sorry, Daniel.
22 million.
Walk all over you.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I think I'm getting just a smidgen of delay, so I'll try not to step on y'all. But I think I did. Like y'all pointed out, I think in one of the last shows, it's very possible Mo didn't even reach out to them. Right? I mean, it's almost like he opened the door one day and they were standing there because they wanted to play in St. Louis, and which is great. I mean, I think that's really something that is nice to hear again, because we have worried about how much of an impact has the culture taken in baseball. And there's obviously still at least a group of people, and maybe it's a lot of Midwestern types that want to, but there are people that still want to play in St. Louis.
Yeah, and late 30-year-old pitchers who just got bombed in the previous season.
And they figure, I'm going to be better than that, so they'll want me.
Yeah. I do want, has anyone ever signed a contract and said, well, I didn't really want to be here, but they made the best offer? You know what I mean? I do believe these guys when they say they want to play here. And there is a difference between just signing the best contract and seeking out a team. But I feel like almost everybody at every contract says oh, this is exactly where I've always wanted to be, because that's what you do when you get a new job.
I do think that the Rockies took Chris Bryant hostage by offering him almost $200 million. That's the only one that comes to mind is Chris Bryant doesn't want to be here or in Denver where I am, but they offered him so much stupid money he couldn't say no. Other than that, I think you're right.
And then he's decided not to actually play for the Rockies, so it's okay.
Loophole. Who'd have thought of that? Yeah, wow.
Get the check.
It's a fascinating thing to see that. I guess the only other thing you would see is somebody that said, well, these guys weren't on my radar, but when I talked to them, then it felt right. And by felt right meant big, huge money on the line. But I mean, if they're coming out and bashing the team already, you got problems.
Yeah.
And I do think we're good at this today. I just kind of wanted. I was what Daniel said earlier was kind of rattling around in my mind. I do think it is very likely that Gibson is going to have a solid year. I do think it's very likely that Lynn is going to bounce back. I think that it's very likely that last year was an especially bad year for the Cardinals defense, and that is going to fix itself in some way or another. And I also think it's very likely that the Cardinals will not have the health issues that the position player group had last year. So I think there are, we're being a little, Eeyore, but I think there are a lot of reasons to think that the Cardinals will bounce back. And I think that last year was just, the shit year that it was.
Well, listen, if you need a confidence builder, look no farther than the Pobo himself, John Mozeliak. When asked do you see the Cardinals as World Series contenders?
Oh, God.
He said, I do. We're excited about what we have. You've got to play the games, and you need a lot of things to happen. I can be as bullish as I want, but that's why we play. I mean, doesn't that just spark inspiration and comfort and confidence in you? Don't you feel like the Cardinals are done and ready to win a World Series?
Here's the deal. The Diamondbacks went 84-78 and made it to the World Series. So, of course, Mo's saying that.
Yeah. And he's like, we're better than the Diamondbacks. And look what they just did. Maybe better than the Phillies last year.
And on the just like everybody else is, oh, are you a World Series team? No, we're not. We're terrible. If Mo says that would have been Mo's like, oh, I'm done with this place. I'm out.
Well, yeah, I think we're all pretty aligned on this. I think we're all waiting for just feels like there's got to be one more interesting, high value move for us to start to for the narrative to turn on this offseason.
I thought you were doing that stupid run up to lead to another note that we learned today, and that's the fact that Yadi Molina is back.
Well,
he is back. He is going to be in uniform sometimes. He's going to be in the front office sometimes. He's going to be working with the minor leaguers sometimes.
First of all, not a stupid run up, but thank you. This maybe the actual we've kind of known this for a little while because it's been talked about all off season, but it is nice to finally get some clarity and some announcement of Yadi's return to the Cardinal organization. Seems like a pretty cool gig. What is it? Special assistant to the president of baseball operations. So kind of just sounds like they're going to deploy him wherever they think he's needed in that moment, which I think is good. It sounds like the delay is that the Cardinals wanted him in a dugout role, like full on coach there, 162. But that's not quite what he wanted right now, even though his long-term goal is to be a big league manager. It's been chalked up as family issues or family matters. So, of course, he's prioritizing his family, which is the right thing to do. So, no problems there. And I think this is actually probably a pretty interesting spot for him. Daniel, how are you feeling about the return of Yadi Molina?
So you're telling me Yadi Molina gets to do whatever he wants to do? Sounds like normal.
Yeah, right.
It's interesting that the title they gave him is the same title they gave Joe McEwing when they moved him out of the way so Daniel Descalso could have the bench coach role. I do think it's always good to have Yadi Molina involved in the organization, and I think it's very much to the organization's benefit for him not to be the bench coach or anything like that, and looking over Ollie Marmol's shoulder. But yeah, I think it's only going to help. I mean, he brings that kind of knowledge and he brings that kind of experience, and I can't see. I mean, there are downsides, of course. He may try to play again, but other than that, I think it was again. Just working it out with his schedule and that, and at some point in time here, 2, 3, 4 years from now, I know as his kids get older, it's kind of like the Matt Holiday thing that we, had last year. As kids get older, you may see him take on, more of it could be even like the Willie McGee type of role, right? Of coaching specific positions and then things along the way. At some point in time, that could be Yadi as well.
Yeah, the Willie McGee comp is pretty good for a lot of reasons, right? I think there's a similar amount of love in the organization and the fan base for Willie McGee as there is for Yadi. Well, it's interesting too. We've heard some language from Mozeliak that I feel like we haven't really heard before, which is specifically around Ollie Marmol. Now, I don't have the quote in front of me, but there's been a lot of reporting and indication from Mozeliak that there has been zero talks with Marmol about an extension. And Mozeliak said, in essentially, the Cardinals need to win this year. And if they don't, there's going to be more significant changes. And I think a lot of people are reading that as Marmol needs a winning year or he's likely out as the manager. And so now you've got Yadi in the wings, McEwing, these other guys, Descalso, these other guys, since we know the Cardinals love to promote from within. And I don't want it to happen, obviously, because none of us want another losing season for the Cardinals. But it is interesting that, it seemed pretty clear, Marmol, this is your last year if the Cardinals don't do well. So I don't know, Ben. What are your thoughts? You think Marmol's getting fired?
Yeah, well, that to me sounds like they're not threatening him. It's just like, here's the rubric. Can you pass it? Can you not? And we talked about this. I think part of the problem is not only did they have a bad season last year, but they were embarrassing publicly, nationally, multiple times. And it was mostly Ali Marmol's fault, either not communicating properly. I think his short fuse with the media, which is, as we've talked about, basically the managers, half of their job at this point is media relations and relaying things to at pressers and in interviews and stuff like that. And I think DeWitt is a old school chap, and I think he was a little embarrassed by Ali Marmol's composure last year. So it all makes sense. I'm not surprised to hear any of that. And I think, of course, what do I mean to say? Mosaic is this golden god, this golden goose that, descends once in a while to let us know what's going on.
Puts on a bow tie, tightens his ascot.
It makes sense to me that, of course, Ali Marmol would be the lamb that was slaughtered before him. He's done this multiple times. He seems to it seems that what he wants from his manager is very, very narrow and very, very specific. And if that person strays from that, they get the stinky boot. So none of it surprises me. And it makes sense. I get it.
Daniel, what do you think about the stinky boot?
I have never really given that much thought. No, I think that, of course, winning fixes everything. I mean, you can be as rough with the media as you want to be if you're winning 95 games. So Tony La Russa proved that. Totally. But I also think that, it's obvious. You're not going to get to – St. Louis does not handle two losing seasons, especially two miserably losing seasons, without some sort of change. And I also think, Mo's got a contract extension that runs through the end of 2025. But if it's another bad year, if he's made these moves, or if he doesn't make anything more, the idea that he hasn't made enough moves, I think that last year he's moved into some other role, and you're bringing in another president of baseball operations, whether it is, promoting Randy Flores or Michael Gersh or whoever, or if it's going outside the organization, which, especially 2 negative years, you might actually finally see them, go out. We've talked about Heimblum and others that have been rumored to be in this mix. Maybe they do something like that, but I don't think we're going to have to worry about it, because I do think this is a team that's not built for that, but we didn't think we'd have to worry about it last year either.
Well, kind of. I mean, yes and no. No one expected it to actually happen, but everyone, ourselves, you, and everyone that's a Cardinal fan was like, this pitching staff is a problem, and it's not going to take very much for it to collapse. And it did immediately. And I'm not feeling like, even though we've been, positive to lukewarm about the pitching acquisition so far, I'm not feeling the same sense of dread that I had going into last year around the pitching rotation. But it is we are kind of at a point still where, what if all of these mid-30s-year-old guys don't have bounce back seasons or stay healthy? We're not that far away from exactly what happened last year.
Yeah.
So
that's my biggest worry. And I know we weren't really talking about that, but if the Cardinals, and I know we'll talk more about the winter meetings and the lack of anything, they should have just canceled it and waited till Ohtani signed. But anyways, that is my biggest worry with the current Cardinals, is that while they have improved from where they were a couple of months ago, they are one starter going down away from a very similar domino effect happening that happened last year. And as we've talked about, when all those people that we're betting on are in their late 30s,
Yeah. And let me tell you, there's nothing worse than being in your late 30s. It gets better after that, doesn't it?
Start feeling younger. Yeah. That part does kind of trip me out. Like the fact that everybody's like, oh, Sonny Gray is good, but he's old. And it's like, oh, he's slightly younger than I am. But nobody was betting hundreds or tens of millions of dollars on me. So it's different.
Mm-hmm. There's like only a few little differences between you and Sonny Gray.
You know what? We're very similar. Yeah. Successful. We're at the top of our game in our respective fields.
Sitting in your basement, 9 o'clock at night.
Definitely answer.
Talking to me.
Whatever, Nate.
Let's talk about some more roster stuff that's coming out. So I think surprisingly, although not that surprising, the Cardinals have directly indicated that they're trying to trade Tyler O'Neill. I guess the surprising thing to me is that they've singled him out and like highlighted that they're trying to trade him. I think we all knew like he was one of many people that is perceived to be on the trade block, but the individual selection part of it is pretty surprising to me. But I do get it. I think we all know why Tyler O'Neill is on the trade block. But still, Daniel, how are you feeling about the Cardinals' pursuit of trading Tyler O'Neill?
Well, we all know why, but I don't know that Scott Boras knows why that Tyler O'Neill is on the trade block. I mean, we like I said, it is weird that the Cardinals are more open mouthed, less tight lipped about that kind of thing. And I also do think that there probably are listening in on Dylan Carlson and some of the other ones. And that's kind of what they also said, right? They're listening to offers on Tyler O'Neill, not necessarily said they're actively shopping him, but yeah, I mean, if from the outside looking in, this looks like it's been a relationship that has been damaged for quite some time. And while there's a possibility you could find a place for Tyler O'Neill, because obviously Tyler O'Neill is a very talented player, it just feels like this is run its course, right? He needs to go somewhere. He may go somewhere and hit 40 home runs. That's like Mo said, he's going to trade an outfielder and they're going to get MVP votes. But sometimes you just have to do it.
Ben is just leaned back. He's pulling his hair back. He's been like squirming and angry this whole time that Daniel was talking. Ben, please. What are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling so many things right now. I don't like publicly devaluing a trade chip, even if he is a trade chip. I don't like how Ali Marmol and John Mozeliak and maybe other people in the clubhouse have handled this. I think it's a manager's job to get the most out of the players that they're given. And as we've talked about, Tyler O'Neill is one of the most talented. He is one of the few on the team that has MVP potential. And the whole John Mozeliak isn't allowed to joke about that. It's too soon. He can't. We can joke about it because we're not making decisions, but it's too soon and he's too close for me to think that he's being funny there. It's like, no, you're bad at your job. You are bad at player evaluation. This isn't funny. It is funny, but you know what I'm trying to say? I don't know why. It just bugged me in a very specific way that he was being silly. And, sorry. Yeah. I don't
know. Close personal friend. He's on the show all the time. I like to see him goof around a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, frankly, it was surprising to see him make a joke, let alone a self-effacing joke.
I will say we were in one of the blogger events a few years back, and there was some question asked, and he was like, "You want me to sign a reliever?" And he knows his limitations, or at least knows where he has stumbled. He's got that sense of humor.
Yeah.
But it also is like, well, no, we really don't want you to.
Yeah.
You suck at that.
Yeah. So Tyler O'Neill's on trade block. I was the Red Sox just recently traded Alex Verdugo, and it's not exactly the same, but there is some comp there as to what the Cardinals could potentially expect to get for a Tyler O'Neill. I think it's like the Verdugo has a much higher floor, and Tyler O'Neill has a much higher ceiling. So you never know what kind of trade partner you might be able to find, but there's enough comps in like the overall valuation. And they got 3 players, none of them particularly exciting, but also none of them like bad either. It was definitely a break one piece down for multiple different parts. And I think it was 2 relievers. So like you could see something like that with Tyler O'Neill, where we're not necessarily trading him in a 1-for-1 swap, but you get some return with some potential upside and likely in the bullpen. So I'd hate to see it, but it is what it is at this point.
There, before we hopped on, I saw there was a report that the Kansas City Royals are interested in bringing in Tyler O'Neill, which I thought was kind of interesting. They're so far away; it seems unlikely that would happen. I think I'm kind of really focused on these Miami Marlins pitchers. I wonder if Tyler O'Neill can be part of a package that brings you an Edward Cabrera or one of those starting pitchers on the Marlins. You know, they have a new team, a new GM or a new Pobo, whatever his role is. They made the playoffs last year. Are they going to push in a little bit more? Are they going to divest their pitching, or are they going to stay the course? But if we're going to trade them, I hope that we can augment the pitching staff and it's not wasted. Because I do think, unfortunately, what Mo said is probably accurate. He's going to go pop off somewhere. As long as he doesn't have the manager, breathing down his neck in the weird way that has happened over the last season and a half.
Well, there's that for sure, and the sort of like murkiness behind his effort and his ability to, or his attempts at moderating his own like athleticism and in a way to avoid injury. But that obviously didn't work at all last year, between his own manager getting mad at him and then him getting injured multiple times. It's like, well, that failed. But generally speaking, when he's been healthy, he's been really good. So you can totally see a situation where he goes to another team, and maybe it's luck, maybe it is some sort of conditioning thing. Who knows? I suspect he'll have at least one more like full healthy season as a major league player. Hopefully more. We're all huge fans of Tyler O'Neill. But his trade value is at a really rough spot right now. Yes, Scott Boras is doing his job. But that was the nicest way to put Tyler O'Neill's current trade value. Saying he was an 8th place MVP voter who hit 30 home runs and 2 Gold Gloves. Yes, that's true. That was 2021. It's been 2 full seasons since he was providing that sort of value. And I think what we're hearing from Mozeliak too is there seems to be a desire both from the players, which is obvious, but also from the organization, to stop having like 4 or 5 outfielders and 2 or 3 second basemen and 2 or 3 shortstop, and just actually go into a season with like, this is your position and you can expect to have it for a reasonable amount of time. And you can't really do that with Tyler O'Neill. So I think that's ultimately why they're trying to trade him, because they can't trust that he'll be there every day, and it'll just go back into that same cycle of uncertainty around at bats.
The Kansas City thing, I had not seen that yet, but that kind of feels to me like they're trying to get him low, hope he has a strong first half, and then flip him at the deadline, right? I mean, because Kansas City's not going anywhere this year. So it'd be fascinating to see if somebody did that, and what the difference in what they got for versus what they gave up for him.
Ooh, yeah, that would be. Yeah, well, hopefully that doesn't happen, because that would look really bad again.
Yeah.
If a team gets a better package for him at the midway point, and then he goes for whatever his next team is, and then wins some MVP votes in a playoff run, that would be just salt in the already wide open wound. But not unlikely, Daniel. I think non-zero chance that happens.
Could be kind of like the inverse of the Juan Soto trade that is about to go through, where the Padres paid like all of their prospects for Juan Soto, and now they're about to trade him to the Yankees. Like, for a good return, don't get me wrong, but not nearly what they paid for him. And it's feeling like a big fat L for the Padres right now, but we'll see.
Well, that whole thing, it's such a bummer because, it's as soon as Peter Seidler unfortunately passes away, they're just ripping that team down and obviously trying to save money.
Yeah. Ben's cat just yelled at him.
Jeffrey, he's mad at me.
Jeffrey. All right. So some other news. We had the Rule 5 draft, which we talked about a lot leading up to this and who the Cardinals would or would not protect. Kind of want to start with what didn't happen, which is that no one was taken from the Cardinals. Really, the only guy that people were concerned about was Ian Bedell, a pitcher down in the minors who has what is considered a very, very high upside, but he has been injured frequently. And so, the sticking point of the Rule 5 draft is that if you take someone, you have to keep them on your 40-man for the full year, or you have to give them back to the team that you took them from. So
the 26-man.
Is it? Did I say 40-man?
On the major league roster, yeah.
On the 26-man. Thank you.
Duh.
See, that's the sort of thing that C70 would have gotten me on the bird scored after the episode. So I'm so glad that you're here with us today.
Yeah, so glad.
You got to keep him on the big league roster. And I guess no one was willing to take the risk on Bedell for a full season, which I think we're all happy about. The Cardinals, though, did grab a guy, Ryan Fernandez from the Red Sox, and there's some reason to be excited about him. Ben, do you want to give us a kind of a breakdown on who this guy is?
Yeah, he's a guy that has pretty good control and strikes people out. Now he played at all three levels in the minors last year and had varying degrees of success. But he's 25 years old. He's a right-hander. He's kind of undersized. He's like he's under 6 feet. He's like 180, 190, something like that. But he throws really hard. Fastball sits 94, 96, tops out 98, 99. He has the pitch. The reason you get Ryan Fernandez is the slider. It's absolutely nasty. He throws it all the time. It's hard, 87 to 91 miles per hour. He strikes a lot of people out on that. And again, like I said, he throws strikes. He fills up the zone. His fastball is fine, but it's all about that slider. He's got a changeup that he mixes in every once in a while, but just to keep lefties honest and throw people off. But like I said, it's all about that slider. And I think this is like akin to the Wilking move, the Zuniga move. It's let's give him a shot, hope that he's healthy. If he doesn't click, he'll go back to the Red Sox. It's, no skin off of the Cardinals' beak. And if it works, he could be great. What? You don't like that?
No skin off the Cardinals' beak.
So I have to explain. I was going to say it's no skin off the nose, but then I thought, Cardinals don't have noses. Or
so
it
was a purposeful bit.
Well, and technically it's a slight bit off because you have to pay $100,000 for the person, but you offer them back at 50. So you would be losing $50,000, which is not much skin, but it's still skin.
Yeah. I think Mo and DeWitt can swing it. It'll be okay.
Are you sure? Have you seen this?
Actually, no, you're probably right. They're penny pinching up there. At least that's what it feels like.
1 day of beef and cheddars from like 3 locations. Couple more numbers for you. So Ben, you talked about his slider. In 2022, that slider had a 59.5 whiff percentage, which is good in itself. But in 23, it had a 70% whiff percentage. So 70% of the time he throws that thing, they're swinging and missing. And his cutter has a 40% whiff percentage. So pretty good for a cutter. So, I think high upside, lowish risk, I think we've been generally a fan of these types of moves. This is what a lot of people are building their bullpens off of. You just look at these peripherals, look at these underlying numbers, stack these guys, and see who clicks on a small sample size, and move forward with them.
Yeah, the Cardinals are doing what the Rays started doing like a decade ago, so we'll take it.
Yeah. So they have to keep him all year, so we will definitely see this guy as long as he's healthy. But it seemed like a pretty good move. So we'll see. There's been a few like rumors around on other relievers that the Cardinals have been linked to. Yesterday, out of nowhere, there was I don't want to lean on this guy too much, but there was somebody was reporting that the Cardinals and Phil Maton were like we're close to a deal, basically. And that has been basically completely rejected by almost everyone else. But it is a guy that like makes sense for the Cardinals. Ben, I know you've called him out as a potential target, and I think we would all be happy if the Cardinals were to sign this guy. But there's been no actual evidence yet that it's happening. Ben, what do you think?
I think that the winter meetings are so boring that somebody felt like reporting something, even though it wasn't something. And I think what do you always say, Date? Unless it's one of the big guys, one of the ESPN guys, Derek Gould or Katie Wu, don't believe it. Should the Cardinals sign Phil Maton? Probably. I don't think that they will. Maybe they will. Who knows? He's one of those guys that probably has a lot of suitors. But I think that it is funny that Twitter can still be used to trick real writers and real reporters and journalists, I guess is the word you would use. And I find that entertaining.
And I will say, I think I saw a person that put it out. I don't know if it's the actual original one, but it was somebody that is in the St. Louis area, which is Maton's right. He's from that area. So I didn't necessarily 100% believe it, but I could see that this guy knows a friend of the family, something like that he would have heard something before national writers. So
and that happens sometimes. There are, stories get broken from like a stranger seeing someone in an airport or whatever, or like my cousin is their agent's like wife or whatever, that happens. So this could be true. There's just really nothing else to substantiate it.
Right.
And there's rumors of Yuki Matsui from the NPB. There's also rumors of Jordan Hicks. And so ultimately what I'm taking from this is the individual player, who knows, but it's clear that the Cardinals are at least shopping for another high-end reliever, and they are potentially willing to pay for it just straight up with a contract and not just from trades. And that to me is intriguing, and where I think I've expected the potential money savings from the Sonny Gray deal to go, rather than what we of course all hope is Yamamoto. I think it's more likely we're looking at like a $10 to $15 million deal for some sort of good reliever.
I'm I'm the one who was publicly asking for Jordan Hicks to be dropped at midway point through the 2023 season. So I'm going to recuse myself from having an opinion on this part. But Daniel, I'm curious of what your thoughts are on potentially bringing Jordan Hicks back into the Cardinals organization. Would you keep him a reliever? Would you try him to start again? What do you think we should do here?
Yeah, you definitely don't if you bring him in, you don't start him. I mean, you're not paying him to start here. I mean, it was one thing when you're paying him the league minimum and you can try to bounce him around. If you wanted him to be a starter, you shouldn't have ever gotten him out of that role. But that's another thing that the Cardinals have done a lot of that they probably shouldn't have. I would be fine with him coming back. I do get a little bit antsy when any team, especially, starts paying high money for relievers. But if the Cardinals wanted to go that route, it's not the worst thing in the world. you are still trying to bring pieces back from the worst team that's ever happened. But I also like the ideas of making a trade and then getting the guy back. So that's always fun too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so. I mean, I'd be fine with it. I don't think it will happen. I don't think that's the way that they're going to go. But, I think that it sounded like, from what I was hearing, that, again, we heard the rumors in July that they were talking about an extension with Jordan Hicks. Sounds like maybe that didn't happen, but they said, hey, go in a ring and then we'll talk later on. So I don't think the relationship's frayed or anything. So I could definitely see that. But
yeah,
I just don't. I don't know. I'm a little bit wondering if they will go in that market. They just picked up the Rodriguez in the Rule 5. They needed 2 relievers. There's one of them. Are they going to go a little bit lower level than we thought, just kind of like they did on the rotation? I don't know.
I get to correct C70.
Yay.
Fernandez, not Rodriguez. Yes,
Got
that
him.
felt good.
Yeah. Well, I've said
Merry
this before.
Christmas,
Ben. Ben's heart grew 3 times its size that moment. I think that this rotation, as it is today, does start to feel better and better and better the more elite your bullpen is. We've seen teams in recent memory be successful with a middling rotation as long as everything else is good to great, right? And I feel like we already think the Cardinals have a pretty good bullpen. And so it doesn't take a whole lot to get it to that next level. And if we're only relying on Lynn, Gibson, Michaelis, we really only need them to consistently go 5 to 6 innings. And you don't need those stoppers who, the 7, 8, 9, you need it to fix the bullpen or something like that. If we have this super strong back end, it just makes that rotation even less of a liability. And if they add a Hicks or a Matsui or a Maton, maybe someone else, and one more whoever starter just to have some more depth, I see some logic behind that. Lean on the offense and the defense and the bullpen and see what happens with your starting rotation. And we do have guys like Roby and Hintz and Graceffo and all that are not that far away, that if they don't have to pitch 180 innings at the big leagues, you could see a world where this sort of system works. I'm also still they have not said what Liberator is going to be yet for 2024. I think they said he'll go into the spring stretching out, but he could end up back in the bullpen. I think we saw him as a potential bullpen ace as well. So you can see this world where we could end up getting a lot of innings purposefully from the bullpen. And that is, I think, a relatively modern way of looking at the game and has some potential. Ben, you're shaking your head at me.
Killing the starter, Nate. You're killing the game. What?
Well, Ben, the pitch clock has killed the starter.
Well, you had the other gun in your hand. You helped the pitch clock hide the body.
Yeah. That's fine.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying, but it just, you're just the worst and your opinions are terrible.
Disagree. So easy disagree. So let's see, what else have we got here? Well, let's talk about the actual the draft. So this was arguably the biggest bummer of the winter meetings for the Cardinals. So if you are not familiar with it, the MLB instituted a lottery draft, a lottery pick system for the MLB draft in an effort to reduce tanking. Now, everybody that is basically in the bottom half of the league, depending on your final record, you get a certain amount of lottery balls, ping pong balls in the big old lottery cage. The worse you did, the higher your chances of getting a higher pick, right?
Right.
And so the Cardinals, having the 5th worst record in the MLB last year, basically had the 5th best chance at getting the first overall pick. They had a roughly 8% chance to get the first overall pick. And despite those odds, they ended up with the 7th overall pick, which was pretty disappointing, right? I think like the one thing we were all holding on to is like, well, this season sucked, but at least we're going to get a like top 5, top 3, maybe even, we can all dream, right? Maybe a top 1 pick. And no, top 7. Still good. What'd you say, Ben? Clayton Kershaw was the 7th overall pick. Aaron Nola, the 7th overall pick. Like, there's obviously good value at that spot in the draft. Like, a ton of good players have come from there. But it's not top 3. It's not top 5. It's pretty disappointing. How are you guys feeling after that?
It was disappointing. Obviously, it was just another kick that 2023 had for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not the Washington Nationals. I think that was worse, but I think I like somebody said on Twitter, I'm less mad about the Cardinals dropping to 7 than I am about the Reds getting second. And partly because they had a little bit of devil magic of their own right there, and they're in the same division, and the Reds have done a pretty good job developing talent, or at least picking it up lately, right? So you don't really want to give them
above 500 record, I think. So the Guardians got the first overall, and they had like a 1.8% chance at the first overall. And then the Reds got the second, and they were like a 1.3 or something like that. They were one of the best teams in the lottery.
Yeah. So, I'm, it is what it is, and hopefully we don't have to deal with it again.
Yeah.
The lottery did what it's supposed to do, and that's not rewarding or directly rewarding teams for being bad. It puts you in to the conversation, gives you a chance to get a higher pick. Unfortunately for the Cardinals, they were bad, although they are not a tanking team. They did, obviously sell off at the second half of the year, and the numbers did not work out in their favor. But the lottery worked as intended. It is amazing to me that the two teams at the top were I think what we would consider teams that are likely to be successful in the upcoming year. It's just annoying how that worked out. And then you have, the poor Rockies and Athletics getting 3 and 4, getting pushed back because those other successful franchises are in the way. But it's disappointing.
Yeah.
But I think Daniel said it best. Like, hopefully we don't have to worry about this system for a while. We're one in and done.
And, I think while we've given the Cardinals player development system some shit for a while now, like, we've been pretty happy with the draft classes for several years in a row now, right? And so even though it's not as good as it could have been, I'm really excited to see what Randy Flores and co come up with for that 7th overall pick. Like, whoever this guy is that gets drafted will likely end up slotting right into our top 10 prospects, if not higher than that. Just like
Jordan Walker was
21
overall just a couple of years ago. Like, it's possible to find talent, but it is just annoying. It's a thorn in the side.
A couple of funny things from, because it is a lottery system. Random is random. I agree with you, Ben. I do think that, like, it's working. We just got some high variance outcomes in this year.
Yeah.
But a couple of funny things. C70, you mentioned it already, but some further detail if you didn't hear about this. So the Nationals, they were disqualified from the lottery system because if you're in the top, I think it's top 6. If you're in the top 6 2 years in a row, you are not eligible for the lottery the next year. They want to promote teams not just tanking year after year after year. It makes sense, right? And so, but they still put, for the sake of equal distribution and randomness, they still put all of the Nationals, like, earned lottery tickets essentially into the thing. And so the Nationals actually got pulled first overall, but they were not eligible. So theirs got set to the side. And then the Guardians were pulled. And then they pulled the Nationals again. and then they pulled the Guardians. So it's just like, it's just it's like a stab in the side. Like, you're not eligible for this, but you got like incredibly lucky to have been pulled. The Athletics, everyone's favorite organization, they were tied for the best odds at the number 1 overall pick. They ended up with the 4th, so they got even more unlucky than the Cardinals did. Like, they had to feel pretty confident that they were going to end up top 2 or top 3. And because of that previous rule that we just said, they were in the top 6 last year. They're in the top 6 this year. They are now not eligible for the lottery draft next year. And I think we are all expecting them to be pretty bad in 2024. So they tanked. They didn't end up with a top 3 draft pick, and now they're not eligible for a draft pick at this level next year. So sucks to suck, I guess. I don't know.
Sucks to suck. I think that's the best way to say it.
All right, guys.
Quit
Anything
sucking.
else?
The solution is to quit sucking.
Yeah. Don't drive your organization into the ground so you can move it. Or be the Royals, I guess. They just all right.
They're
Anything
trying.
else you guys want to... They are, but kind of.
Yeah.
They've got Bobby Witt.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to talk about with the Cardinals or the draft or anything before we move into the more league-wide stuff?
No.
Okay. Well, as always, we want to thank everyone for listening, and I want to give everyone a chance to learn a little bit more about C70's content and where you can find more. If you're enjoying the C70 side of the show and you say, I don't want Nate and Ben anymore, I just want to follow C70 back to his content. Where could they find your stuff, Daniel?
This is a disturbing idea too. Yes. Most people probably know, but I'm at C70 on Twitter. I am at you've got Meet Me at Mutual and Gateway to Baseball Heaven as the podcast. You have the Substack, cardinal70.substack.com. The blog still puts up stuff every once in a while. We did the exit interview series not too long ago. That's at cardsconclave.com. I think that pretty much covers it. Just follow the Twitter account. You'll find all this junk.
Nice. Yeah. Go check it out.
Great source. And cardinal70.com or anything like that, but it's something.
Maybe someday.
Cardinal70.com.
Actually, that was the old blog was at that one, and then
okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and then when I moved off of there, they said they'd let me know when they let it lapse. They did not, and now it's in the ether.
Oh, that's messed up.
I think I might buy it.
Go right ahead.
Link back. I'm gonna buy that, then link it back to Nate.com. Something I'm working on. Well, so you should definitely follow C70. Much better than us. But if you have been enjoying this show and want to show your support, I want to remind everybody that this show is listener supported on Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Patrons of every level get access to the Bird Scored. It's a great place. We're chatting about the Cardinals, and Daniel's showing more pictures of his house. We got a lot of great stuff in there. It's a great place to go if you want to talk to other Cardinal fans and get away from the noise of all the social media that's out there. We have a bunch of different tiers, a bunch of different levels, but we recently started releasing some shirts that we think are pretty cool and something that you might actually enjoy wearing. It's not just big dumb pictures of our faces. We like to think they're good for baseball fans. So check that out. You can find all of those on our website, and patrons at certain levels get a free t-shirt, which, I mean, that's just value. You're losing money by not joining the Patreon.
I'm sold.
Yeah. Join the revolution. Come home. Join the Patreon. Patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds.
You do remember you start the revolution against me, right?
Oh shit! And that's why we brought you on the show, Daniel.
Help us take him down.
We're doing this now. Join the Bird Scored, and then we're going to do a DDoS attack on cardinal70.com. Hey, if you like the show and want to support us in a different way, consider leaving a review. on your favorite podcast platform. That does help. And tell your friends, tell your family. Holidays are coming up. You got nothing better to talk about. Talk about us.
Wow.
Ben, if people want to find us online, where else can they find us?
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at Talk About Birds. You can follow us on Instagram at Talking About Birds. You can email us at talkingaboutbirds@gmail.com. This show is available on Spotify. If you prefer to listen to podcasts on Spotify, it's on Spotify. We have a TikTok, and you can find all of that information, T-shirts, Patreon, all that crap at talkingaboutbirds.com.
And as was announced last week, we now have a phone number that you can call and leave us a voicemail. That's right. 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-48-BIRDS. 48 birds. Questions, comments for the show. If you want us to discuss something, call us, leave us a message. We're open to anything. It can be baseball related or otherwise. We will take your call for the show. As Ben said, if you're having an argument with friends and you want a neutral third party opinion, let us know. 848-48-BIRDS.
If you're struggling, there's a problem in your life, you need some advice. Whatever it might be, we're people, we have brains. It's probably not going to be good advice, but we can think.
We say things.
Yeah.
We're here to help. This number has been live for a week now, and we've had a couple calls, and they've been 100% people calling to do bits, which
is great.
I appreciate. So whatever hero just called and said kangaroo very loudly, it made me chuckle. And then I'm gonna play,
unless that's a threat of some kind that I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Could be.
If so, I wasn't scared. So failed threat. But I do appreciate you calling the number and screaming kangaroo at me.
A kangaroo would take you down, Nate.
Oh, I get my ass kicked by a kangaroo. That's not even a question. Put me in its little pouch.
That's what it would do?
Yeah, probably beat me up and put me in its pouch.
That doesn't sound that bad, actually.
That's what now I kind of want it. All right, I'm gonna do like the worst audio thing in the world here, but I'm gonna play one of the voicemails so you can see what sort of bullshit we're already getting on this phone number.
Yo, hey man, hey, what's up, Nate? Hey, what's up, man? This is Daryl, long-time listener, first-time caller. Tell you what, man, I love your podcast, first of all. I'm local to the area. I love the Cardinals. I wonder, first of all, let me say this first. Cardinals talk, though, I want to hear a little more about Miles McCallis, first of all, just on account of he has a wonderful mustache. But the reason for my call this evening, I got to tell you, boys, I love the Cardinals talk, I love baseball, but this is talking about birds. That's the name of the podcast, and frankly, y'all don't ever talk about birds that much.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so
hang up on this loser.
It goes for a full minute more.
Wow.
So
yeah, give us more of that.
Yeah, so certainly out there, if you're listening, you can do better than that.
Actually, what's his podcast? I want to follow that.
Yeah. That's Daryl from our area.
From our area. Wow.
From our area. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks, Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl.
Wow.
All right, we're going to talk about some stuff around the league. Ben, why don't you take us here?
Yeah, there's lots of stuff. We'll move through this quickly. Jim Leland is voted into the Hall of Fame by the special committee. I don't really have much of an opinion on this. I think it's fine. I think for managers to be voted into the Hall of Fame, like I don't know, it's longevity, it's sticking around. I feel like it's mostly anecdotal. Like Jim Leland has these stories of filling up hotel rooms with cigarette smoke and drinking and having kind of being hard nosed. And outside of that, I don't know if I have much to say about this, but I guess good for Jim. It'll probably be an entertaining speech.
Yeah, apparently he answered the phone and his wife said who was it, from the Hall of Fame, called him, and he said it's Jake from State Farm.
And exactly, like he's he's himself. He is a unique character in the game, I guess.
Yeah, I feel kind of the same, where it's like I don't have a particularly strong opinion of Jim Leland, but I like people being inducted in the Hall of Fame, and from a manager standpoint, like, you know, maybe he's not inner circle manager Hall of Fame level or whatever. I think there's certainly some other managers that probably have similar numbers to him that are not in it, but he's a great character from the game, and, you know, good for him. Seems like an interesting dude.
Yeah. Interesting for sure. So this happened while we were recording.
Ooh,
it is
breaking.
now official that the Yankees and the Padres have made a deal to swap Juan Soto. Juan Soto and Trent Grisham are both going to the Yankees. The Yankees are sending Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Johnny Brito, and Randy Vasquez, all pitchers. And they also included Kyle Higashioka. So those players are going to the Padres. And again, Juan Soto, obviously the biggest name here, and Trent Grisham going to the Yankees. I'll just give my 2 cents. I think that this is a no-brainer for the Yankees. I think it immediately makes them have maybe the best 1-2 in baseball, Juan Soto and Aaron Judge back to back. I think that this move in combination with getting the Alex Verdugo greatly improves their defense in the outfield. Trent Grisham, although not a great hitter, is very patient and a good defender. The same can be said about Alex Verdugo. I think this is a great move from the Yankees. And Juan Soto is... I bet they extend him. I think they couldn't have a better ballpark for his style of hitting, his style of play. So I think it's a great move for the Yankees, and it's too bad what the Padres are doing for all the reasons that they're doing it.
Yeah. Drew Thorpe is the Yankees' 5th overall prospect. So high, but not, you know, they're not getting a Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez type of guy. And Michael King seems like a serviceable starter, and the Padres need a starter. And, you know, like the days of trading like a 1-year rental for like a team's entire farm system is starting to go away. But I think, yeah, like you said, Ben, this is a clear win for the Yankees. May end up being good for the Padres. They obviously need pitching, and they just got 4 pitchers for it. And I'm sure they hope to think like they still have Machado and they still have Tatis and Ha-Sung Kim. You know, like they have some offensive pieces, and the reason they keep collapsing is pitching. So there's like kind of an on the field, you know, reason why this kind of makes sense. But at the end of the day, Juan Soto is a future Hall of Famer, and they just traded him for a whole bunch of pieces, which is, it's kind of insane that Juan Soto has been traded twice in his rookie contract. Like, these types of guys are almost never traded, let alone twice, and so young in their career. And I'm kind of excited for Juan Soto. Like, as a fan of baseball, I'm excited for Juan Soto because he's now, you know, he's one of the best players in baseball, and now he's on a team where he's going to get that media attention. Like, I don't think everybody really knows just how good Juan Soto actually is, and I think that's about to be no longer the case when he's hitting right alongside Aaron Judge. And though, as a Cardinal fan, I hate that, and, you know, I hate the Yankees, but like it's kind of fun that he's at least now on like a spotlight team, and will likely get the, you know, hopefully some more credit. But yeah, it's a bummer for, if you're a Padres fan, you've got to be pretty pissed right now. And you know, last year was like, remember, it was almost the Cardinals that got Juan Soto. It feels so far away.
Was it?
Well, I mean, according to like trusted reports, like they had a package, and it was only because the Nationals were willing to, you know, or the Padres were willing to give them everybody, that they ended up going with that one instead of us.
Yeah. Weird deal back then. This deal makes a lot more sense, at least for one team. But yeah. All right. Sticking in the AL East, the Orioles have signed Craig Kimbrell for $13 million and 1 year.
He always makes me laugh. His little elbow thing that he does.
You love it.
I always think he's like leaning forward. He's like, I'm a bird. I'm a little bird. That's what I think he's thinking every time he's about to throw a ball. Yeah. Well, C70, what do you think about Craig
He's
Kimbrell's?
an Oriole now, so.
Yeah. And he's just trying to be on here so you will talk about him. So you can talk about some birds. See.
Well, we will now. He's talking about other birds. He's on the bird team, fellow bird
Cardinals
team.
We're a little bit linked to, there were some, when they're talking about those upper echelon relievers that they might be looking at. Kimbrell's name did come up, but I don't know. I guess maybe I've still got, Yadi and Paul DeYoung going back to back off of him to be too concerned about having him on here. So we'll see how it goes. I'm sure it'll work out fine for Baltimore.
Yeah, he had a rough start of the year with Philly, but by the end, he was doing pretty well for them. So we are fans of the Orioles. I think with them losing Bautista for the whole year, he should be pretty good for them. But we'll see.
They spent some money, but not enough. Yeah, we'll see what else. The Astros signed Victor Caratini to a 2-year deal. He will be kind of taking over catching from Martin Maldonado, who's getting a lot of attention, but another kind of low-level deal. A deal that was much more exciting, and it kind of blew my mind. The Braves and the Mariners linked up for a trade at the winter meetings. One of the few things that actually happened. And the Braves acquired outfielder Jared Kelenic from the Mariners, and this is all from Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic. And they also got Marco Gonzalez and first baseman Evan White. In return, the Mariners received Jackson Kowar, who was already traded this year, and another pitcher, Cole Phillips. C70, what are your thoughts on this trade? Does it make sense to you, I guess?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, y'all are much more versed in everything else that's going on in the league than I am, but it was interesting though, of course, the Braves didn't turn around and flip Marco Gonzalez to the Pirates. So
for nothing, for cash. Yeah. It was a player to be named later or cash considerations. The lowest, they're like, maybe we'll get a guy from you, or you can just give us money.
Yeah. And sometimes those things turn out to be like, they don't even get the money, right? They just basically give the guy away.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting. I mean, heck, I think just for their irony's sake, the Cardinals should have taken Tyler O'Neill for Marco Gonzalez. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, y'all are going to have more opinions about that than I am.
Yeah, Nady?
Yeah. I mean, Mariners fans are pissed because Kelenic looked like last year, like he's, he still had a lot of struggles, but he was former number one prospect in baseball. And it looked like there was some value starting to come from him. And you could see this path to him becoming a great player. And he basically was packaged as a salary dump to go to the Atlanta Braves. And the Braves are such a good organization right now.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, they're going to unlock Jared Kelenic. And they got him for basically nothing. Like Kowar was also a former top prospect. So and the Mariners are pretty good at developing pitching. So maybe they turn him into something, but this basically looked like a salary dump, and they had to give the Braves Kelenic in order to get it across the plate. And it's kind of a bummer. And I'm really concerned that the Braves now have another young, toolsy, interesting outfielder to go in their whole batch of those.
I also think that there's an aspect to this of Kelenic not having to be the guy, not having to be a center fielder and an all-time prospect coming up. He's going to be probably hitting 7th or 8th for the Braves. He's probably going to be playing left field. Everyone is a superstar on that team. He can kind of fade into the background and do his thing. And I think you're right. I would not be surprised if Alex Anthopoulos thinks that he can fix Kelenic. I think the whole Mariners situation it's a hunk of crap. They drew over 2.5 million last year. They broke their playoff streak. They have a good, exciting team. Their payroll is not that high. It's a major metropolitan area. Why are they reducing payroll? Why are they cutting themselves off at the knees when they should be doing the exact opposite? They should not be losing out on. Sorry, who's the third baseman that they traded away last week? Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah.
And then getting rid of this, it's completely insane to me. And if I was a Mariners fan, I would be very mad and skeptical that this team is doing anything.
Well, and the DeBoto had another foot in mouth situation when he said the 50 where we want to win 54% of the time thing, which we get it, but it's just shit you don't say. Give them a Zalak response. Yeah, sure, we're fine, we'll be good, whatever.
We're a World Series team.
Yeah. The Evan White part is interesting because that's what it looks like when what the Braves have done and what we want the Cardinals to do with like Jordan Walker and stuff. It's what it looks like when it goes wrong. They gave him like a $50 million contract before he'd made the major leagues, and then he just has been bad. And now they had to dump him to the Braves. But yeah, they are spinning it saying like, this is like, give us time, let us spend the money that we have now cleared. So it is something like, I guess we'll see, but on its surface seems pretty bad from a team, like you said, that should be like way on the upswing right now. You know what I think it has been? I have a theory. You're not going to like it. You were in Seattle this weekend.
Yeah.
Do you think they got wind that you were there and they're like, oh, well, this city's gone to shit and we just need to cut and run?
Yeah, I think that was it. That was good. Thank you. More breaking news while we're on the show. It looks like Eduardo Rodriguez signed a 4-year deal with the Diamondbacks. It's 4 years, $80 million, an investing option that could take it to 5 years and 99. I think that's probably a really good deal. I think he's really good. I think he's underrated. Hey, look, a team that is had success is making their team better. What an amazing thing to see.
I don't get it.
Yeah. The White Sox also signed a pitcher. Eric Fetty is coming from, is it the KBO, I think, on a 2-year contract for $15 million. The White Sox simply need bodies and innings, but we'll see. Curious to see how he does coming back after he's changed his repertoire across the ocean.
Yeah, that's another one that the Cardinal, it's every guy has been linked to the Cardinals, but that was one that a lot of people thought might be a back rotation guy for the Cardinals.
Right. All right. Final piece of news here. I thought this story was fascinating. We talked about him at some point already today, but Ha-Sung Kim has sued a former Korean teammate for blackmail. So I'm going to read from an article a little bit here. But during his time with the Kiwoom team and right before joining MLB, Ha-Sung Kim and an unnamed player got into an argument while drinking at a bar, and it escalated into a physical fight. This incident occurred early in 2021. The unnamed player demanded settlement money from Ha-Sung Kim as a result of the fight, which Kim paid prior to being posted to MLB. The amount was hundreds of millions of Korean won, which equal to about 100 million won equals 76,000 US dollars. So not nothing. The unnamed player continued to demand money following Ha-Sung Kim's entrance into the MLB, threatening to raise more issues if he was not paid more. So Ha-Sung Kim has flown back to Korea with his agent and lawyer to try to solve this. But he's essentially suing him for blackmail because of a drunken brawl that happened. And I suppose that there was some reputation on the line. I mean, obviously, it's not a great look, right? A drunken brawl is probably what the newspapers would have said. But anyways, kind of a crazy story. Luckily, it seems like everyone's okay. It's just money and people being stupid. But Ha-Sung Kim, kind of a I don't know. I guess I'm surprised to hear that he would be involved with something. Obviously, I don't know the guy, but I thought that was a surprising development.
So I know this won't make any sense, but I bet you, I'm almost certain that the player on the other side of this has got to be Tommy Pham, right?
I mean, they were on a team together. I would.
Tommy's not keeping that quiet. I'm sorry.
That's a good point. He would just go slap him again rather than trying to hold money over his head. You're 100%
he was in the drunken
right.
brawl. He's just not the guy that is trying to blackmail.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's all I got for league news this week, Nady.
All right, that's a wild one. We'll see if we learn anything more about it, and hopefully the next few weeks we get some real answers to where half these players after this dull winter meeting comes to an end. But all right, so Daniel, you've been on the show multiple times, and we've been sort of playing through this manager game that Ben and I have struggled, and so we thought. I know you and I were chatting about what to do for the show, and we thought, well, let's go ahead and let's wrap that thing up and get ready to do some more questions about Okay, this is bullshit. We did this like 2 weeks ago.
You're such a dumbass.
Well, I don't even know what to do. So the card shark is here, and we have to satiate him. We have to give him cards. And I don't even have anything. Daniel, do you have anything that we could...
Oh, you bastards.
I have something for you, yes. And y'all are not going to like it. You really need to slow that down, because this is a very much older card shark that you're dealing with. You are not. I have just now opened a pack of 1987 Donruss.
Oh, no.
They were actually given to me by my father, passed down to me by my father-in-law when he passed. He had a number of years of sealed cards. I went out looking. I could have gone back into the 81, 82 range. I thought I'd give you at least a shot at knowing some of these names. There are, in fact...
I knew, so we obviously planned this a little bit, but I didn't know what year it was going to be. And I said before I even knew the year, though, that like I suspect Ben are going to be straight trash at this. So I'm hopeful to get one of these right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'll have Baseball Reference here, so I will search in case you actually get a team or something that they were not on this year. First of all, we have to start out with the puzzle piece. As you may know, the Donruss cards came with puzzle pieces that you collected and assembled into a large picture. In fact, I still have the puzzle pieces for Stan Musial floating around. One year he was the puzzle piece. This year is Roberto Clemente, so we have one of the pieces of that puzzle. All right, that's awesome. So we will start with Joey Meyer.
Do we buzz in, or
I think, are we doing this together? Is this a team game?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's take turns. So Nate, you start, and then Ben.
All right, Joey Meyer, obviously a starting pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Ben, do you want to guess? Because he's completely wrong.
Okay. Damn. I actually thought that he was a outfielder for the Padres.
He is an infielder for the Brewers. Technically, at this time, he had not actually played. He only played in the years of 88 and 89.
Oh, a rookie card.
So it was a no major league. They gambled. They lost. Okay. Next up, this one, I would like to say maybe, but y'all are younger than me. So, Ben, we'll start with you. Candy Maldonado.
Candy Maldonado. That's a great name.
Great name.
Based on the way that you phrase this, now I'm sad to say I've never heard of this person. I'm going to say Candy Maldonado. That sounds like a catcher to me. I'm going to say a catcher, Dodgers.
Yeah. Well,
Nate.
You might also thinking of Martin Maldonado, who was also a catcher.
I'm taking it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say that he was a starting pitcher.
You might be thinking, actually.
You gotta stop it. I'm going to guess that he's a starting pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
He's an outfielder.
Damn it.
On this card, he was played for the Giants, but he did play for the Dodgers, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Toronto, the Cubs, back to Cleveland, Toronto, and Texas. So
wow. We had so many opportunities. I guess, Ben, you guessed Dodgers, didn't you?
Yeah, he got.
Okay.
Is that
some sort of point there?
I think that's
0.25 of a point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not actually going to keep score.
What?
Okay, this one is easy. I promise you, this one is easy. If you don't get this one, we need to reevaluate your life.
Oh no! If it's not Ozzie Smith, then I don't know.
It's not quite Ozzie Smith. Tom Bernansky.
Oh man, I don't know.
Come on,
he's 70. Come on.
Oh come on!
I was 0 years old. I was born maybe. He is a starting pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Ben.
Tom Verdansky. That name.
No, I know the name.
That sounds familiar. But I don't know. I honestly, if you would have just said that name without any context, I would be like, no, that sounds like a journalist or a broadcaster. So I know that I'm wrong. Tom Verdansky.
Actually, you're thinking.
Technically, I think he's a first baseman for the Braves.
He's an outfielder on this card for the Twins. Right before he was traded to the Cardinals for Tommy Herr.
I knew
in 1988.
The way you said it, I was like, was he a Cardinal? I just don't remember it at all.
He was traded to the Cardinals in 88. After the Cardinals and Twins had played in the World Series in 87, Herr were flipped in 88. And
how long did he play with the Cardinals?
Remember that.
Yeah. So, all right. This is going well. Glenn Davis.
This is going better than I expected it to, frankly.
Glenn Davis. That's a closer if I've ever heard him. A New York Yankees closer.
Nate?
It's a catcher for the Giants.
It's an outfielder for the Houston Astros, a very power hitting outfielder for the Houston Astros. And that was back when they were playing in the Astrodome.
I'm trying to find Tom Berdansky. I don't even know how to spell his name.
Brunansky.
Okay.
Okay.
I remember him now that you.
Yeah. Award-winning smile.
Okay. Oh no.
Okay. There are quite a few cards in here, actually. They put more cards back in the packs back in the day, back before anybody wanted to collect them.
It'd be great when you rip out like a super valuable rookie card of someone.
Yeah, I skimmed through there. No, besides the fact there are no super valuable cards from the 1980s. That's what happens with overprinting. Joel Skinner. I'll just throw it up and see if anybody has an idea.
Damn, that name actually sounds familiar to me.
To me, I'm going to go Detroit Tigers second baseman.
I'm going to say he is a Seattle Mariner third baseman.
Yankees catcher.
Oh, so close.
Well, you're going to have fun with this one. You may not know who it is, but you're going to have fun with the name. Paul Ossenmacher.
That is a good name.
Paul Ossenmacher. Now that's a starting pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's funny. I was going to say starting pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, actually.
He is a pitcher.
Yes.
I need to double check. I think he was a relief pitcher.
On the board. Oh, damn it.
Here he is pitching for the Braves. He's a relief pitcher. Has 56 saves and one game started in his entire career. So
wow.
Here he was pitching for the Braves. This is actually 86 was his rookie year. So, Carney Lansford.
We get one
outfielder-
star from the 80s, please. Can we get a Jack Clark here?
Outfielder for the Giants.
Infielder for the Giants.
Third baseman mainly. This third base, first base for the Oakland Athletics.
We're getting
Part
as
of their-
vague as possible. Baseball
part of
player.
their
National
big-
League.
Larry Anderson.
Shortstop, Chicago White Sox.
I know Lonnie Anderson. Yeah.
Tim Anderson's dad.
I'll just say he was a twin at one point.
Actually, let me double check. He might have been. Larry Anderson is a relief pitcher here for the Astros. One of those typical relief pitchers that has the, or at least back from those days, that had the wit about them. Usually had some sort of funny comment. Quote, let's see. He played... No, did not play for Minnesota.
Oh, come on. I suck at this.
Cleveland, Seattle, Philadelphia, Houston, Boston, Padres, and back to Philly. So, nope.
All right.
I promise you there is at least one name. In fact, it's not this. There is at least one name, maybe two in this that's left here that you at least know.
Uh-oh.
I promise you that.
Uh-oh.
But not this one. Rick Shue.
Rick Shue?
Not to be confused with the stinky boot.
Give Rick Shue the stinky boot.
I think he's a relief pitcher for the Texas Rangers.
I think that he is, let's see, Shue. I think he's a second baseman for the Minnesota Twins.
Like Shoeless Joe?
Third baseman for the Phillies.
Oh, so close.
We're close.
All right, ready? Promise you. Guarantee. 100% you know this name.
Oh, no.
Tom Seaver.
There we go. Starting pitcher, New York Mets.
Starting pitcher, New York Mets.
Yeah, except that right now, in this one, he was pitching for the Boston Red Sox, but he was obviously has pitched for the Mets before. So,
thank God. I feel slightly better.
Donnie Moore.
Starting pitcher, New York Mets.
I don't know. It sounds California to me. I'm going to say that's a giant infielder.
That's a large man. Somewhere. He is a relief pitcher for the California Angels. Before they were the Los Angeles Angels. Donnie Moore is obviously, some would know, a sad story. He gave up a home run to Dave Henderson in the 1986 playoffs that pretty much eliminated the Angels, and a number of years later took his own life. Never really recovered from it. Yeah, that's the kind of excitement I bring to your game.
Wow. Yeah.
This one you should know this name. Darryl Porter.
Yes,
Porter. Because he's a coach right now, right? I think.
Was he on the Expos? Outfielder for the Expos.
I want to say. Oh God, I don't know. He was a Padre outfielder.
He was a catcher here for the Rangers, but the starting catcher on the 1982 World Series Cardinals team.
Damn it!
God damn it!
Played a number of years there.
And I knew the name.
He had died. He has died, so he's not coaching anywhere right now.
He had died.
Okay.
He died in 2002.
He's from Joplin, Missouri, and was born on my birthday. Okay.
Wow.
Then, Chuck Carey.
Catcher, St. Louis Cardinals.
I'll second that.
Pitcher, I'd have to double check. I think probably relief pitcher for the Detroit Tigers.
That's close.
All right, and I think you know this name as well. John Kruk.
Oh, there we go. Left fielder, Philadelphia Phillies.
Phillies. Great broadcaster.
Except that he was playing in the Padres when this one was done.
Yeah. Damn it.
Didn't he retire mid-game or something? What's the John Kruk story? Didn't he just walk? He walked off the field mid-game. or something like
I think
that.
So.
Yeah,
I think
he wanted to end his career, I think, getting a hit, and they put him in. He got his hit, went to first baseman. The manager pulled him out, and he walked to his car and left the stadium. I believe. Check me, hit me up if that's right.
It's something
or
like
wrong,
that,
but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah,
if it's not exactly that, it's something like that. Yeah.
All right, final card. Dave Stieb.
Oh,
Dave Stieb.
Oh, I know that name. Dave Stieb. Was he a starting pitcher for the Cardinals?
I second that.
He's a starting pitcher for the Blue Jays.
Damn it.
Well known for often getting close to a no-hitter before. He threw a number of one-hitters before finally getting a no-hitter. But yeah, he was called One-Hit Steve for a while, I think. So
nice.
Dang.
Close, though. At least you knew he was a starting pitcher. I will give you that.
Well, I think we definitely got eaten by the card shark here, but I do have one last thing that might be able to save us. I was going to show this to you guys at the beginning of the episode, but I forgot. But I think this will save us from the card shark bin. This is our only hope to not be devoured. So, in the big box of cards that I bought that I was using for the recent card shark game, I didn't realize I almost actually threw it away. But as I was looking through the packaging, I noticed that I'd missed something, and there was one giant novelty card in this package. And I was like, oh, glad I didn't throw that away. I got to get my giant novelty card. And wouldn't you know it, I open up the card and here we go. It's the big, strong guy himself. I have in my hands a 9-inch by 6-inch Pete Alonso card. The very man tackled by Stubby Clapp. So I am going
Hold
to
on
feed.
to that. Yeah.
I'm going to feed this my head-sized Pete Alonso card to the card shark, and maybe it'll save us.
Wow, I feel bad for the card shark.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get rid of that card, or it'll put you in the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us this week. Hopefully you have a wonderful holiday season and you don't send too many people to the hospital with blindness from the display on your front porch. We appreciate your time on this increasingly late Wednesday night.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all humoring me and having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be back next week, just like we always are, talkingaboutbirds.com. Call the number, but, see if you can beat that bit that I played on the phone already.
848-482-4737. Give us a call.
That's right. Give us a call. 848-48-BIRDS. And until next week, I'm still holding a little hope on Yamamoto.
Yeah, me too.
I would really like that.
Yep.
I'm trying to be with these someone left a whole thing of blue moon at our house. So I've got, I've got a,
whatever keeps the shakes away, Nady.
That's not funny. Okay. That's a real problem for some people.
That's going to be at the end of the show now.